Welcome to the Sound of Movement podcast. This week, we're discussing training splits specifically for your skills masterclasses to ensure you build a full weekly training split for balanced results. And today we're talking about the strict muscle up. It's a skill that a lot of people want, entry level into calisthenics, upper body. Let's do this.
All right, good morning, welcome, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We are super pumped to be back. We are discussing muscle ups today. This is part of our Skills Masterclass series. Massive shout out to everyone listening on the podcast. Big warm welcome to everyone who watches these as a replay on our YouTube channel. Smash that like button, support the channel. This week, as Rad said, we're discussing the specificity of training and how it all fits into a complete training split. Remember, this series is brought to you by our epic 12 Days of Christmas sale. Until the 24th of December, which is Christmas Eve, of course, when you join UMS Online Coaching, you get free 14-day trial plus every masterclass we've ever created is included in your regular monthly subscription. That's a whopping additional value, and we really want you guys to understand how to put it all together if you do. I want to give a big shout out to anyone who's joining in live on the UMS Movement Mastermind. If you do have a skill that you would like to unlock and you want to know how to fit it into a complete training split, we're going to be talking about the importance of that today, because today's discussion is very upper body dominant. We want to talk about the benefits and the risks you face if you don't balance your training split. If you've got a specific skill that we don't cover this week, get in on that UMS Movement Mastermind group and ask us live, and we'll help you out. We'll give you our opinions and how we would do it. Morning, Christy. Morning, Lee Clements. So first of all, the way we frame this every day is that we want to cover the risks because we do not want you guys to stifle your progress getting injured. And injuries are very common when trying to unlock your first strict muscle up. Your first kipping muscle up injuries are pretty common as well. But with a strict muscle up, you are now we're like going into mastery level on forearm and gripping strength. You have to learn to be able to hold a false grip, which we will explain shortly, and it puts extreme amounts of load on your forearms and elbows. Now, as we spoke about yesterday with load management, in every one of these skills development sort of skills specification programs, the way it becomes a specification program is that we start to add or increase the amount of volume of working on this specific skill. And yesterday we spoke in regards to the pull-up in the concept of greasing the groove and different styles of training that you can do to really level up a skill in a specific movement. With the muscle up, it becomes more important than ever because the forearms get hammered every day. No matter what you do, if you're training squats, you are loading the bar and using your gripping muscles. If you're training deadlifts, you're loading the bar and also gripping the bar. You know, so your forearms really don't get much of a break. And then you come in and do, muscle ups, and that's why people tend to injure themselves trying to get the muscle up. They get forearm problems, forearm tendonitis. So let's talk a little bit about the load management principle again for those who haven't listened before, haven't tuned in before, and yeah, we'll take it from there.
Yeah, look, I think the first thing to understand is that when you do something, whenever you start calisthenics training, if you haven't done it before, the strain that you're going to put on your forearms, elbows, and shoulders is like nothing you've done before.
Hands as well.
Yeah, your hands as well.
For all the hand balancing and planche progressions, it's full on.
Yeah. All the weightlifting in the world still doesn't prepare your joints fully for calisthenics. It absolutely sets you up. And especially your shoulders. It definitely weightlifting can, fully prep your shoulders for calisthenics training. Elbows, kind of, and wrists and hands, not really at all. It's just totally different. The way that the hands are used to grip, which is what happens in weightlifting, versus putting weight, all of your body weight into the hands is totally different. And then a false grip is totally different as well. So what you've got to understand is, I think the first thing about load management is that when you start training, I would say for the first 12 weeks of calisthenics training, you should be training way below maximal effort. It should be sub-maximal. So we spoke about that yesterday. What does that mean? I'd say don't go above 60%, 70% maximal effort. What does that mean? If you talk about pull-ups, if you could do 10 pull-ups, you could do 10 perfect pull-ups. It would mean that in a workout, you'd actually only do sets of 6 or 7 pull-ups.
Yep.
So you'd feel like, wow, I could really do a few more, which is a really different way of training for most people. For most people, we're used to this idea that you train to failure. And when you're building up load tolerance for something like calisthenics, like the muscle up, the exercises that you do, you have to take it easy. You have to be prepared that you've got to condition your body in ways that you haven't felt before.
And not only for injury mitigation or injury risk mitigation, this is, and I don't want to gloss over or skim over this, because this is actually a really, really important point to take into consideration. Most people get this wrong training calisthenics. The end result is not the way you train or practice.
Yeah.
The end result, the progression that looks cool, is usually seldom done in the gym. You know, that's what you do when you're showing off to your friends, because you can't get enough volume.
That really high level.
Yeah, you can't get enough volume. And so the simple fact, the thing that gives you the result, the thing that develops strength and muscular endurance and muscular hypertrophy, you need to be able to bank enough volume, and therefore you're usually always having to regress way back from what you think you should be doing in your workouts, you know, and that's what most people get wrong with Cali. I think they try and train by doing the skill, and then they do it for a few seconds, and their body's cooked, and that's why they get nowhere. You know, they just don't develop any actual progress, strength. You know.
Luckily, that's exactly what the Gymnastics Rings Masterclass is designed to overcome. Because if you follow the program, you know, this is one of the programs in our UMS that was written 100% by Yanni, and Yanni understands load management and progressive overload and periodization very, very well. So it's periodized in a really nice way, and beyond our decades, our combined 3 or 4 decades of being professional trainers, Yanni also did a lot of research into what other people are doing to achieve muscle up training before we wrote this program. So we just pulled our own knowledge and we just compared it to what other people are doing. So it's a really, really good program, and a lot of people have achieved their first muscle up with the program. But the next thing we have to discuss is the optimal training dosage, frequency, and intensity. And this one is potentially going to shock people, because I remember when I wanted to get a muscle up, when you want to get a new skill, you want to train it every day.
Yeah.
You just want to, because your mind thinks more equals quicker.
Yep.
And sometimes it is. So when it comes to a skill, but the thing is with a muscle up, it isn't considered a skill movement. It is considered a strength movement for sure.
Yep.
But if you talk about a handstand, which is considered a skill movement, as long as your body can handle it, more usually actually does equal better. Like most good hand balancing programs will have you doing handstands anywhere from 4 to 6 days a week, because to develop skill, you need more time, more volume throughout the week. But this is a strength movement, and 2 times a week with 72 hours break between each workout is the maximum amount that you would do this for. Now, the program is written in a way where there's 2 workouts a week, but you may not be able to do that when you start. It might be too much for you, and you'll know really quickly if you start developing pain in the inside of your forearm, near the elbow there.
But before we even go there, I would make a blanket statement and say that you have to have done the Foundations program, or if you're not enrolled in the UMS online coaching and you're doing it your own way, you have to have done a general preparations phase of training. And if you don't know what that is, you got to get on Dr. Google and find out, because general preparations, one of the things that we emphasize, and a good strength coach, anyone who's done any of the sort of Charles Poliquin PICP Institute, or Tony Battaglia BFI, any of those guys will know that you got to double down on forearm and wrist and elbow conditioning in the general preparations phase, because it is one of the areas that becomes a very weak link in the chain. You know,
and that's something that is taken care of in the UMS Foundations
we go hard on it, and for that reason, so assuming that you've done general preparations and your body is ready for it, your elbows and forearms and gripping muscles are ready for it, then proceed. Let's go. 2 days a week is maximum. Some people may still find that too much, but that's the optimal dosage, I would say, for someone who's prepared for it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, look, it's
and just continuing on. That gives that is going to maximize or emphasize supercompensation. Remember, supercompensation is the peak of the recovery curve after a bout or a dose of stimulus, exercise. The initial reaction from the body is that you are depleted and you are, somewhat damaged. You have metabolic damage to the tissues in your body, which take you below your starting point as you recover in that first sort of day or 24 hours. And then the recovery curve exceeds your baseline, and you want to stimulate again at the peak of that recovery curve before it drops off, which is roughly the 72-hour mark. Slightly different for people based on recovery, sleep, nutrition, all that sort of thing.
I want to give a really good. Sorry,
No.
I want to give a really good example of what we're talking about here with using the foundations and using the muscle up program and load management and all of that. And that's one of our current superstars in the UMS online coaching program, Josh Charles Dorr, who came to us because he got a muscle up, but he got really bad forearm tendinopathy in the process of it. And he found us on Google by looking at our golfer's elbow video. He put a question on there, and we made a video specific to answer his question.
Now,
and I forgot about this until, listen to this, everyone. So he found us on YouTube, asked a question, we made a video for him. That knocked his socks off that we made a video specially for him. That then got him to join our UMS online coaching program. He did the foundations phase. So this is a guy that could already do a muscle up, but he developed such bad forearm tendinopathy that it prevented him from being able to do any upper body work properly because of he couldn't manage the load. So his body could handle the muscle up, but his elbow joints, the muscles, the tendons, the gripping muscles, couldn't handle the load. So he went through the foundations program, moved into the progressions program, which is how you do the UMS, did a couple of phases, then went back to the Muscle Up Masterclass and got a muscle up better than he's ever had before, but now he's got it with no pain. So what you got to think is, unfortunately for Josh, he didn't find us until he caused himself a really nasty injury. If he had found us first, he would have done it the other way around, which would have been no injury, go through the foundations phase, into the progressions phase, then done the Muscle Up Masterclass, and he would have got that muscle up with no injury, and he would have been able to just continue onwards and upwards. The muscle up is the entry level to gymnastics rings. So once you get the muscle up, we start teaching people forward rolls and backwards rolls and rings routines and stuff like that. So it's a really important lesson.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a really good example of how you use the UMS, because in my opinion personally, and this is why we're about to release the Technique Optimizer, I think everybody should go through Foundations, Technique Optimizer, build a baseline. Remember, general preparations is not about building that. It does, of course, build strength, but it's more about preparing you. It's teaching you to train for training, and then going through and really doubling down on a phase of programming that just builds raw strength, brute strength, And if you want to do things like muscle ups, guess what builds raw strength better than anything? Deadlifts and squats. They affect the central nervous system in a way that's incomparable with an upper body movement. You cannot compare the level of maximal strength and power that you develop in a deadlift. Does that carry over to doing a muscle up? Oh God, yeah. Does that carry over to being able to do human flags? Absolutely. The proof is in the pie with one of the Australia's and the world's best powerlifters who could demonstrate almost a perfect human flag the first time he ever tried it. And he'd never done anything like that before, because he focuses on the three big powerlifting lifts: deadlift, bench press, and squat. They train the nervous system. Remember, the nervous system is the control mechanism for every muscle in your body. And above and beyond muscular hypertrophy, every adaptation in strength is neural. It's developed in the brain and the nervous system. So, I love seeing people like that, Josh, who comes through and proves the point of going through and doing the general preparations and then doing a phase or two of basic raw strength development, and then coming out and demonstrating a perfect calisthenics movement. And we see this time and time again with people who join Unity Gym here, and we get to work with them personally. They come specifically for calisthenics.
Yeah.
And then we don't let them do any calisthenics for like 4 months.
Yeah.
And most of the time at the start, they're like, oh God, I'm just going to trust in the process because I know you guys get such good results. And then we let them go cut loose on the gymnastics rings or the Swedish ladders or whatever else, and they're blown away with how much better they can do their calisthenics.
Look, I've worked with so many world-class coaches now, and there isn't one single world-class coach that I haven't worked with that doesn't, it doesn't matter how far you are, the first thing they look at is your basics. They just want to see what your basics are like.
Yeah.
And if your basics aren't on point, then that's what you work on for the first 3 to 6 months. You work on the basics, and it doesn't matter if I've been training for 20 years now, and the coaches that I'm working with now are still getting me to work on the basics because they have some different basics, different standards
and
of the basics. And that's where the magic happens. 80% of your training should be on mastering the basics, which is just to get as strong, flexible, and structurally balanced as possible. And then these skills just come so easy.
I reckon it's the difference between, and I'm going to draw a line in the sand here, between fad coaching and real coaching.
Yeah.
A real coach will get you to nail the basics first and then let you cut loose on all the advanced stuff. And a fad coach will let you dive straight in because they don't give a shit, because they just want to entertain you and try and get your money.
And you do run into a problem where if you get the Gymnastics Rings Masterclass and all you do is you just say, I just want to do the muscle up, I just want to do the muscle up, and all you do is this program, because it is a phenomenal program to take you from 0 pull-ups to even being able to do a muscle up. But it is not a complete program because it doesn't have flexibility involved in it, and it doesn't have any lower body strength. And you must understand, it doesn't matter what your goals are, you must understand the critical importance of creating balance through the body. So, for example, if you wanted to do a muscle up in itself is a good movement on its own because it has a push and a pull component to it. But for example, if you said, I want to do a planche or a handstand push-up, and all you did was work on those two movements, you're going to run into massive problems in the shoulders because they're both pushing movements, and it will create an imbalance in the shoulders. So that's why we pair planche with levers and handstand push-ups with pull-ups. But the same thing happens with if you say, I want to work on an upper body movement, but I'm not going to do anything else. Well, you're going to create an imbalance between upper body and lower body strength, which is a problem. Or if you just say, look, I just want to nail these strength movements, eventually you're going to realize that you're very, very strong, but you're very, very inflexible. And we've got some friends that are like high level on the, the bar workouts down at the beach where they do those acrobatic bar brutes and stuff. High level stuff. But then when they see us doing some basic calisthenics movements that require flexibility, they'll comment on our post going, man, I wish I could do that. I don't even have the flexibility to get close to that. But when it comes to strength, to demonstrating raw strength with their upper body, not their lower body, because they've got legs like this. I'm holding up my little finger. But they kill us, when it comes to the demonstration of upper body strength on a bar, but it's not a balanced way to train. So why am I saying all this? The Gymnastics Rings Masterclass to learn a strict muscle up is a phenomenal course, but you have to respect where it should fit into your training in the UMS. Where does it fit in? As we've just said, it fits in after you've done the foundations program. And what you do is once you finish that foundations program, you replace the bent arm strength workouts from the UMS program with the Muscle Up Masterclass workouts, and you continue doing the UMS online coaching as per normal, which means that Monday you do your bent arm strength Muscle Up Masterclass or Gymnastics Rings Masterclass workout. Tuesday you do your squat day. Wednesday you'll do your straight arm strength day if you want to train 5 or 6 days a week. Thursday you'll do the bent arm strength day again, which is now the Gymnastics Rings Masterclass, and then Friday you do your deadlift day. And then if you want to train on Saturdays, you do straight arm strength as well. And it's very, very important that you understand.
It's only one piece of the puzzle. That's right. And this goes for all of the masterclasses, all of them. Anyone who's picked up a masterclass and is just deploying that, you got to understand it's only one piece of the puzzle. It's not a complete training split. It's not designed for that. It's designed for guys. It was originally designed for our guys in the UMS Movement Mastermind to double down on a specific skill once they've built a foundation of strength and structural balance. And you know, I would go so far as to say I would finish the foundations program and then do one phase of progressions and then go into it, just like what Josh did.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just a great way of developing that, like really building a good platform of strength and flexibility.
And for anybody that's listening to this that's got the masterclasses, any of our masterclasses, but hasn't joined in on the UMS online coaching program, you've got to understand that we have a lot of experience, and there is a reason why we keep preaching this over and over and over again. You are going to come to a point at some stage in your training where you realize that you are not hitting your goals, and there is no missing piece of the pie that you can get that's going to do it. You need to look at the complete picture. And that's what the UMS is. That's why we created the UMS. We created the UMS to create this complete training system that matches strength, flexibility, upper and lower body, pushing and pulling movements, skills, weightlifting. And then all of those masterclasses were, okay, so people are doing the UMS, they're getting a great result, but somebody's saying, you know, I really want to get the splits. What do I do? Okay, well, you do the Flexibility Masterclass and you add that in and you replace that for the regular stretching. Oh, you know, I really want to do a muscle up. Sweet. Swap your bend time strength days with this. I really want to do a handstand. No problem. Add this 30 minutes to your training at the start of your workout. Not, I want to do a handstand. Okay, this is all I do, because you might get a handstand. You probably will. But God, it's going to come at a cost. And we've worked with some of the world's best hand balancers. I mean, like Cirque du Soleil level, that have taught us. And you know what? They come in and they look at what we do, and they're talking about the third cortisone injection that they've just had in their shoulder, saying, man, I wish I had have done more of that stuff earlier. And then if you wanted to talk about getting them to try and express strength or athletic capability in their lower body, they can't even step on the same stage as us. They're not even close to where we are with that. So, you guys, you really need to... you really need to have a hard think about how you're going to spend your time and what's the smartest way to do it. And it might seem to you that you might have the goal that you want to do the splits or the muscle up or the handstand or whatever it is, and you think that just working on that masterclass is the quickest way to get there. Well, we're here to tell you right now that if you haven't created a good foundation, it's not the quickest way to get there. It's actually going to be the quickest way to get you injured and make you realize that you didn't have the foundation that you had. And that is a kick in the teeth. Especially if you've heard us say this and you think, I think I can do it better anyway. I'm different. If you hear that and then 6 months later you realize what you've... And we've had so many people in that boat, man. They go, oh, God, I wish I had just done this earlier.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. All right, guys, look, tomorrow we're going to go deep on handstands. This is very exciting because it's something that we've all been working on.
Handstands.
We love working on handstands. We
So
love
much
coaching
fun.
handstands, and they're an absolute bugger to coach, to learn if you don't have the foundation.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about that. We're going to unpack that tomorrow. So buckle in, strap yourself in. We hope you're enjoying this series on skill-specific training. Remember, if you have a skill that you really want to unlock or level up, it could just be a squat, it could be a deadlift, it could be a bench press, it could be an overhead press. It doesn't have to be calisthenics related. Get yourself into the UMS Movement Mastermind Facebook group and ask away. We're loving the discussions. Big shout out to everyone who joined us live. We will see you all tomorrow. Health is about performance, not just body image.
You better be willing to accept what you're going to have to do to get there.
We'll start focusing on movement goals, strength goals, flexibility goals.
When you nail that skill, that's there forever.
The body image goal doesn't get you that
It's
far.
the consistency and frequency that's going to get you there. It's not the intensity.
There's no shortcuts to mastery and movement. Destination doesn't change overnight, but your direction will.
The gym is not the place to beat up the body that you hate. It's the place to build the body that you love.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.